Other questions for the Chief? Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
I have a question, Mr. Perry, and this is in reference to, I have heard from a number of sources that you are now present at the scenes of officer-involved shootings. My question is why, and what is the purpose of the CAO being at officer-involved shootings when the APD chain of command and investigators are already at the scene?
Thanks for the question, Mr. President. There's been a couple of officer-involved shootings that I have been out to. I think you've probably noticed the level of inquiry on these officer-involved shootings. So the major function is basically to deal with the dissemination of information. I think that when you go out to the scene, it gives you personal knowledge as it relates to what some of the more general concepts are about what happened, information that will be available that you may call about, the media may call about, other folks would want to know. So that's the general purpose. There's some other purposes that are within the realm of reason for that as well. I've been practicing law for 27 years and been involved in a lot of cases such as officer-involved shootings, and so I like to know what's happening out there. As you know from the organizational chart, I am the person that's responsible for the administration of the Albuquerque Police Department.
And my concern is, I know you're trying to disseminate information, but shouldn't that job be up to the police chief and the investigators that are at that scene, and not the CAO of the city of Albuquerque?
Well, it's done in conjunction with the Albuquerque Police Department and their PIOs and the like. But it's a very dynamic situation as it relates to officer-involved shootings and our ability to release things. We live in a media world now where people want things, as they happen. And in many of these cases, quite frankly, Mr. President, we have situations where, folks that are on the scene are showing videos of their own cell phones and things like that. I think it's important to be able to provide the media the basics of what occurs out on the scene in order that we don't have a situation where the message about what happened is being portrayed by one side. So I think it's a fairly objective thing to try to provide the basic information that's out there.
Well, isn't that the job also of the PIO to provide that information? We just hired Janet Blair as the PIO, and she's being paid over $80,000 a year.
I think certainly it's in coordination with the PIO from the department, the communications director, as well as the PIOs themselves, some of the folks that are involved in the investigative process and the like. But there's a lot of nuances that go into that as far as legal decisions, as far as releasing information and things like that. So I think based on my legal background, my administrative background as the city manager, my involvement with the media, typically when they don't get it from the department, the media routinely calls our office, and so I think it's critical to that.
And I have one more question, and that is in reference to the disturbance that took place in the mayor's office.
Yes, sir.
A couple of weeks ago. You as the CAO were videotaping the disturbance?
That's correct.
And not trying to de-escalate the situation?
No, that's not correct at all. There was multiple times when I told the folks that had invaded the mayor's office through the use of force, pushing a police officer aside, that they were in a controlled, secure area, it was not open to the public, and that they were being disruptive, and that they were trespassing. And I imagine that will be the testimony that I provide in the court. I don't intend to provide you any additional detail to that because it is pending under litigation right now.
But do we not have cameras in the mayor's office that could have videotaped and filmed this incident?
There is video surveillance of certain aspects of it.
Thank you, Mr. Perry.
Thank you, sir.
Councilor Gordillo.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Perry, I don't know whether you escalated it or not, and I don't know whether you want to continue this line of discussion. You probably won't. But I do find it interesting that you would think that by threatening people and then now even making statements that I don't think are true based on the information that I've seen, that you continue to still essentially dehumanize the folks that were there as if they were invading. And, words have consequences.
Yes, sir.
And I don't think they invaded. So I would suggest that we be careful how we use the words we use. I don't think they invaded, and I don't think they pushed officers aside. All of those things, and that'll come out in court if indeed it goes there. but I don't think that using that kind of terminology in a civil gathering, that's beneficial to anyone. And to continue that kind of discussion, I don't want to continue it, but I will if people want to.
Sure. Mr. President and Councilor Garduno, I appreciate your semantical precision.
Thank you.
I think that I generically referred to folks forcing their way in, and that's exactly what happened. I was there. I don't think anyone downstairs was. So I'll stand by those words. I'm not going to be wildly fantastical about what occurred. I think they're fairly accurate general descriptions. Thank you.
Well, Mr. President,
Go and proceed then, Councilor Winter.
I want to correct one thing. I just heard it, and if we had a court reporter, we could have them read it back. But you did use the term invaded, and I take exception to that. Thank you, Mr. President.
Councilor Winter.
Thank you. Mr. Perry, the police chief reports to you. That's correct as far as the chain of command goes.
Mr. President, Councilor Werner, that's correct.
So you have oversight on the police department.
Yes, sir.
And I think it is very appropriate for you to be at some of those issues that we've had regarding the shooting, because it's more oversight, and I think that's